Alright guys, we are here with another one. We don't really need to do any more coding on this except for fixing a few small bugs and maybe doing a few touch-ups at the end before we upload. So let's go ahead and get in here and make a new layout. And it comes with its event sheet. And we'll just name it main page. And event main. And while we're here, we're going to add a new event sheet just all by itself. And say variables. Now these variables will take place over all pages of the game, but we also don't want to use this setup that I'm going to do here, because if we did it for event game and put it along all the tabs, and also on the main page an event across all the tabs, then you'd have conflicting issues with the code. So this will be how we get around that. We're going to add a new global variable. Make sure you're on event variables. And say is on level. And make that a number value of 1, since you're going to start on level 1. We're going to add another one. And we're going to say, well, the only screen on this one that's going to be portrait view is going to be the level selection. So we can say is on main page, or you could say is on portrait view. We're going to set the boolean initially to true, because that's where we want to start. And we're going to do our vice versa variable. So is in game, and boolean set to false. So let's go ahead and add some code to make that run. And we're going to tell or say is the boolean set to is in game. And we're going to tell the system to set the canvas size to 1920 by 1080. And we also want to tell the system to set the boolean of is on main page to false. And this may help us with our coding later, just in case something doesn't get switched. So we're going to copy and paste. Switch is in game to on main page. And switch this our numbers around. And then switch that to is in game and keep false. So we'll worry about is on level 1 later. Let's go ahead and get into our main page, or actually event main, since it didn't pop up there for us to begin with. And what we're going to want to do is right click, include event sheet, and we're going to do event variables. And so now everything we code on event variables will happen on event main for the main page. So let's go ahead and add this to all of our code. And to do this, you don't want to click right here, highlight something, or, well, this one worked because it didn't highlight anything. But if it highlights something, you're not going to be able to do it. So just click somewhere you can click without highlighting and include event sheet. There we go. I did do the right one on that, right? Yeah. So event main, there we go. So now let's go ahead and get some visuals going. And as you see, it's still set to widescreen. Actually don't need to touch that, since we're just going to use our gray area as our screen, and we know exactly where to place our stuff. So 1080 by 1920 on the size. And let's make a few layers. We'll name this one water, add one above it, name it ground, and I cannot type today apparently. Add one above it for rain. So select the water layer, make sure when you add one, you're on the layer that you want to add it to. And we'll just insert a new sprite. And I've got my blue pretty well selected already. So basically between my two values here, I have a light blue and a dark blue. That will be our effects. So we need to find somewhere in between there that we can see a difference in. So we're just going to drag this one here and call that good. And resizing it properly doesn't matter unless you plan on destroying it and or respawning it later. So let's go ahead and add some effects, and you can always find it down here for effects. Right click the image over here, or just right click the image on the screen and go to effects. And I do suggest just having some fun with this. Maybe look up what it does and then try it out. And maybe just some random fun trial and error will be good. So let's go to water. And the settings I found best for me is something just like this. That'll be good enough, just for demonstration. So now we're going to set the ground, and I've got one pre-made. If you don't, feel free to make 3 squares that are just going to give you 2 rows of rivers, or you can even just have one. That's up to you. But if you've set a image for your background and it's perfect size, don't forget the little cheat. We can set 0, 0. And then we can also set position 0, 0. And boom, we're nice and lined up. So let's see how that looks at this level. And not the worst, not the best. So let's go ahead and add some rain. We're gonna do more effects, and we're also going to do particles. So let's start with particles. So we're gonna spawn ours at the top, and let's go ahead and make make this a fairly light blue. And I'm just gonna do this. Set the size. And I'm just going to do this for demonstration. Let's say 50 by 20. Or actually, for a better view, let's go 20 by 50. So it looks like a streak down. It's taller than it is wide. And we can set the angle to 90. And this is where we get to have a little bit of fun. So just scroll down here, find the preview button, and give it a preview. Got a lot of work to do to get it to show over the entire screen. So let's rapidly increase this speed to 1000. And we'll worry about opacity later. Oh, and spray cone. So unless you want it to go out like that, I'm going to set mine to 0. And it's going to go straight down. And for the X randomizer, so if you put in 500, it's going to go 250 to the right, 250 to the left, and it's going to spawn randomly across there. So we're going to say by 1080, since this is roughly in the middle of our screen. And let's make it 1180. just to make sure we get full coverage. There we go. So we do not want negative acceleration. So what's going to happen is it's going to fall and then come back up, or go back the opposite way as it started. The reason you're not seeing that is the fade time. Let's put it at 5 seconds. As you can see, they're slowing down, so it's trying to come back up. It's still just not fast enough. Let's go negative 5,000. So that's what's going to happen. So instead of doing that, let's just set this to 10. Speed randomizer up to 800. And maybe this can go to 3 for a timeout. Or 2. Or 3 so we can get off screen. Now that we've got that, let's play with the opacity. Let's say 50. Oh, yes, it did change it. And like I said, the vision that we were supposed to have is a downward streak, but as you see, it spawned as a square. And so when you play in your images, let's go ahead and get back into here. Let's set this to 250 by 250. Clear this out. And then say here, I'm going to set to 50. Yeah, that looks like it'll be all right. And we'll just take a downward streak here. So it's going to spawn this square image, but the image itself is only going to have that streak. And we can preview again. And now the raindrops look proper. So if you're having glitchy visuals, this is how you fix that. And let's add some water drops. So insert new image. We're going to do a sprite. And we'll do animation frames later. We're just going to keep this one simple. So we're going to back this up, put it back to the darker side. And I'm going to start with light first and then dark. We're going to hit the circle. Make sure border's checked, fill is not, and smooth is up to you. And pixel size 10. Yeah, let's go with that. So wherever you click to start, remember that. I'm going to go directly in between these two squares, the darker and the lighter color, not looking at the grid. Just dragging that there. Then with a right click, doing the same. And with a left click, doing it again. So that's going to be our ripple pattern. And I chose this one for the demonstration, even though it's not going to really fit with hitting the ground. But we're going to add this to the water later. So let's go ahead. We need to set this size now. And we're going to say 50 by 50. And we can still fairly see it. So let's go ahead and keep that. And on event main, we're going to tell the system that every tick, we want it to create an object. And we're going to create sprite 4. Put it on rain layer. And you can either type layer 2, or if you don't know what number the layer it is, you can type in the one that you named it, and you will be good. And for the values, since rain hits anywhere and everywhere randomly, we're going to go random. Put in some parentheses, and again 1080. And go random, parentheses, 0 by 1920. And we don't want them to stay on the screen, so we're going to say make the system wait half a second. And then we'll also tell the sprite 4 that it needs to be destroyed. So before we play with the opacity, let's go ahead and see how all that looks. Not the worst, not the best. But let's go ahead and get into better quality graphics. And I'm going to go ahead and take a raindrop I've got saved. And we can just go into here, delete this out. We may not need to, because when we pick an object, it could do that for us. And we're going to do raindrop falling. Now, as you can see, this one was not planned out right. So what we want to do is Control All, copy. Then we're going to set the size. We need it to be a square. So let's set this to 44 by 44. And that's what it would spawn looking like. So let's do Control All and paste. Oh, but it did not paste the transparency. So that sucks. So we'll leave it like that and we'll just watch it spawn with a weird shaped water drop. So when you plan for that in advance when drawing the image. We don't need that one. Here we go. And then my water drop animation. We got this. And this is where it gets a little tricky for some people. We have a half-second wait time before it gets destroyed. So we have 4 frames. If we set it to 4 frames a second, it will take 1 second to play that. So what we need is double the speed and the same amount of frames to cut that in half. So instead of 4, we're going to say 8. And we don't need it to loop because as soon as it plays this frame, it should be deleted or be destroyed. And so let's code for that. So we're going to keep the every tick. And actually, let's move this one to the water layer. So copy paste. And we're going to change that to drop hit. And we'll set this on ground. Oop, don't forget the quotes. And then we have our wait time. And then we can tell drop hit that it needs to be destroyed. So let's go ahead and preview that. And like I said, it's wanting to spawn those in as a square. So the raindrops are coming in weird. And then we just need to fix how clear these things are, or how opaque they are. So, yep, that one's selected. And we'll set this down to 50. One more quick preview. And there you go. Good as gold. So let's go ahead and keep that and move on to level selections. For this, you can make a blue circle, gray circle. And so let's go ahead and switch this first. We're going to set this to gray showing first, animation to 0. And now we can click and drag with control. That will give us our copy. And I do want to say we're only going to code for the first 3. We're not going to code for the other 3. We're just going to let those be. So let's go to event main and write that code. So first things first, before we even click it, we need to set the visuals. Let's go ahead and add event and say when blue circle, even though it's showing gray. And we're going to say pick by unique ID. Oh, I think it's 94. I only know that because I've been practicing. Yep, 94, 95, and 96. So now we highlight everything, hit B for boy, or you could just right click, add blank sub event, and go in here. So now we're going to say blue circle, compare frame equal to 0. Oh, yeah, okay. I was about to set that up wrong. So instead of blue circle, we're going to say system is boolean set. Or not boolean. I need compare variable. If countdown is greater than or equal to the variable is on level. And I don't know why I say a countdown. Yeah, I'm really getting confused here because it's kind of late at night. So let us go is on level and is greater than or equal to 1. So now that we've got that, we're going to tell the blue circle to set the frame to 1. So pick UID 94, that would be this one here. If our is on level is level 1, we're going to set the animation to 1, showing a blue circle. So let's go ahead and copy and paste. And then change this to less than value of 1. We're going to set the animation frame to 0. And this part actually does not matter because it will never happen. And so basically, it's going to do one or both of these. And we should really switch this one up. And I like to do X for else. So pick 94 is less than level 1. Set it to 0. But if it's not level 1, the else option is say if it's greater than 1, it's going to set it to blue. And since 94 is level 1, we're on level 1, it should always show blue. So let's shrink that category, copy and paste it twice, and say 95 is on level 2, or is on level less than 2, set animation frame to 0, else is equal or greater to level 2. We're going to set the animation frame to 1. And now 96. Oop. And say is on level less than 3. Set the animation frame to 0. Else is on level greater or equal to 3. Set animation frame to 1. And I'm going to add one more piece of code just to test this code out to see if it's working. Yeah. So just for the visual sake, we're going to say mouse on click, on right click, we're going to tell the system to add to is on level by the value of 1. So every time I right click, we should unlock or first right click, we're going to unlock second level. Second right click, we're going to unlock the third level. So one right click, so the code's working properly. So we can delete that. And now we can do what I was first trying to do with the blue circle. So now we're going to say blue circle and pick by unique ID 94. And we're going to do a sub event with that by hitting B for boy. And now we can say on mouse for object clicked for the blue circle. Add a second condition and say if blue circle is on frame 0. Oh, and this is where we need to make some more images, or a new image. So let's insert new object, go to text, just drop something somewhere near the middle. And we'll actually put this above everything on the rain. So pass first. Text will be pass the previous level to play this one. And times New Roman. We're setting the size to 40 and bold and centered. And initially visible for off. Oop, this one. So event main. So now that we've clicked a level that we cannot go into, oh well, this code is useless for 94, but we're just going to keep it and use it for a copy. We're going to tell the system, or actually not the system. You would tell the system if you wanted to spawn it and then tell it where to spawn. But since we set it invisible, we're going to go pass first and set visible to visible. And then we'll also do a control copy, control paste. And for animation frame 1, we're going to set, or just delete that. We're going to tell the system to set the boolean is in game to true, because we're going to go to the game level. And tell the system, and we don't actually have level 2 yet, so we're going to go to level 1. And that should be good. Oh, no, wait a minute. So when we click this and we set this to visible, it's going to stay there indefinitely. So what we want to do is tell the system that we want to wait 3 seconds. And just for my OCD, then we'll tell the system, or not the system, the pass first text to set visible as invisible. Now all that should be coded well enough to go. So let's take our highlight all, copy and paste twice. We're going to change this one to 95. That's good, and that's good. Change this one to 96. And that's good, and that's good. Now what you definitely would want to do is change this one out if you have higher levels. But if you're just testing the code out, this will be fine. Just go to level 1. So let's go ahead and test this. And let's click level 1. and it sends us there. So F5, and we're here, and I've got rid of the code for right click. So let's click this, play the first one, and yep, it does the same. So the code seems to be working fine. Since it was copy and paste, we don't need to see the other ones actually take us to the level. And with that one, I think we're going to call this one maybe a short one. Well, we did code for account coins and variables, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. We're going to insert a new object, and we're going to make it text, put it up here, and count coins. And text can be whatever. Doesn't really matter because we're going to do that with our code. And we're going to set the text as impact font for 40, maybe for 30, maybe for 40. All right, so that'll be good. Maybe you just drag this out here in case you're going to get a lot of coins. And then, so basically all we're going to have to do, let's make absolutely sure we coded for event coins. Or account coins, I mean. So on our event variables, we need to add a global variable for account coins. Initial value 0. And then hop back over to the event main. And we're going to tell system every tick. So do we have an every tick? We do. And we're going to set it in front of this, but let's just go ahead and call it simple, add one here. And so for every tick, we're going to tell the system to compare oh, give me 1 second while I gather my thoughts. Okay, I finally figured it out. So we're going to tell the account coins that we need to set the text. And if you cannot find it, why can't we set the text? Oh, that's because we're trying to add a new event. We should be on every tick. So now we can set the text somewhere. Oh, it's really going to make me a liar. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we're going to set the text to, in quotes, anything that you want to show on screen. And so coins, colon, and if you want a small gap between the coins and the actual coin count, add a space and do a quotes. So we're going to hit space and, which is shift 7. And we're going to say account coins. So now it's going to show us the coins as text and our account coins as the number that our variable is set to. So done. And let's give that a test. And as you see, our random letters turned into coins for 0. And I think I will call that a night. This one has been quite rough to record because, to be honest, coding the or figuring out the else, which actually you don't actually need. That's just for some people to clean up their coding and help them read it. Uh, but as we see, it still works just fine. But yeah, definitely with the clicks with the mouse in this one, that took a long time to practice and learn how to type that right the first time. So practice, practice, practice. If you have to, if you're struggling with a code and you finally get it right, save your project as a new file name, use it as a reference, and then delete the code completely for that bit of code. Then retype it. And if it's not right, learn or figure out how to fix it. And then once you've got it fixed, delete it and then retype it. That is the method that I took to train myself how to type this right the first time. And as you see, I still have troubles. So with that being said, be smart, be responsible, and good luck.